Dr. Owusu Ocho. It's Dr. O for the 804. As the premier knee and hip shoulder sports surgeon in Virginia, I would like to remind you that health equals power. Sports build and uplift communities, nothing else can. The mission of sports medicine is to keep athletes of all ages and levels at the top of their game. Dr. O is located at Ortho, Virginia, Schrader Road office location. Appointments can be scheduled online at orthovirginia.com or by calling 804-939-6688. You can follow Dr. O on Instagram at Dr. O _ for the 804 and uplifting educational content about sports health.
Hi everyone, I'm Coach Rick Stockel. I am co-owner of Newman & Dunn Real Estate here in Central Virginia, as well as I am a high school boys basketball coach at Monacan High School. I've sold over 1,300 homes here in Central Virginia, and I would love to work with you and your family in your home buying needs. I am a proud primary sponsor of Ballin' in Virginia, and I hope you enjoy this show.
Welcome to another episode of Ballin' VA. And as I keep telling you guys, just be patient, be patient. God works in mysterious ways. Today, I got TJ High School Vikings in the house, man, the football version. I got Coach Harris, I got Coach Banks. Man, I appreciate y'all coming on, man. How y'all doing, man?
Doing good, man. We appreciate you having us, brother.
Man, thank you, man. Coach Banks, I want to start with you just real quick. I appreciate you, man, just reaching out to a brother, man, because it'd be hard out here for a pimp. I call myself a pimp, but y'all know how it go, man.
No doubt, man.
But no, man, we just gonna get right into it, man. So how things been going, bro?
Good, man. I can't complain, man. I can't complain. I mean, life-wise, Viking football-wise, everything's going good, man. I can't complain.
Well, go ahead, Coach.
Same here, man. I mean, honestly, we just trying to stay active as much as possible right now. I'm just extremely excited about the off season and things that we've kind of worked through, our progression as a program, and just the whole entire transition. And Coach was talking earlier, just the transcendence of where we were and kind of to where we are now, and overall progression. It just feels good in terms of we're on the incline, and I'm just I'm excited about that, the future for the program, and me and Coach and the other coaches, we just building something. And so, I appreciate you having us on the platform and giving us an opportunity to kind of, talk about some of the good things that we got going on within our football program. So,
and I got to say this real quick, man. Our assistant head coach, Coach Barry Hagan, couldn't be here today. He got the kids, wife out of town, so he had to take care of some family.
Yeah, but
we hating that he not here. That's TJ. That's Mr. TJ right there, through and through.
Yes, sir.
But like we just coming out here. We're actually just leaving the field.
Wow.
Before I left today, like literally, man, I was on my way to my truck to come here, and I kind of stopped and I had to pull out my phone and just take a picture of that field, like to see the participation and see our guys like really working. It's been transcendent. Like we've been in the weight room since December. Wow. I wasn't even the head coach at this time last year. By the time this airs, I will have been, but I was still at that time the offensive coordinator. And so our off-season program was different last year than it has been this year. So this year, it's completely locked in all myself and the coaches, and so we've kind of transitioned. But right now, man, I'm talking about literally, I left that field and had to pull my camera out, man. I mean, it's beautiful the work that we're putting in. That these kids' bodies are transforming, and based off last season, I mean, right now we've probably had in the past month, I'm gonna say we've probably had about 15 to 20 schools come through.
Oh, yeah, I've been seeing that, man.
Yeah.
I've been seeing it. I've been posting that, man.
Yep.
Keep up with the good work.
Yeah.
Wow, man. How has that been? Kind of give us
that's been phenomenal, man. I think one of the biggest secrets is, unless you're a real football head, is that TJ produces talent. Like right now we got Azia Johnson at Michigan State. We got Jalen up at Virginia Tech starting at safety.
Yep.
We got a kicker at Townsend. We got guys playing D1 ball down in Alabama, D2 ball. We got Shamar, who's over at Virginia Union right now, All-American. We produce talent, and I think like with the recent success of the program, and I say recent meaning just this undefeated season, because we've been successful, man, for a minute. And I don't think people really put guys on it. Like I'm an extremely humble man. Like I'm thankful God has blessed us. I'm happy with the opportunity that we had this year to go undefeated. But man, like 4 years ago, 2019, Coach Adams took this team to the state semifinals.
And see, people wanted me to get, and see, I don't know if it was Bo or somebody hit me up, was like, man, you got to get TJ on to talk about, man, the 2019.
Yeah.
And I was like, 2019, man, I was still on the basketball side, but I knew I was kind of following you. And I think, what's the name? I want to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, I want to say London Ferguson's brother played. I think he was the quarterback or running back. She played. Her mom is Rhonda Johnson.
Yeah.
I think her son was. I think he played for y'all, right? So I remember. Speaking of London. London plays at Thomas Dale, the girls basketball. So shout out to London. But I was like, I was seeing all the success that they was going. I was like, man, TJ doing their thing.
Yeah, it's been a steady incline, and I think like right now at this point with the undefeated season last year, like our conversation amongst the coaches is, I'm saying, listen, the next step for us is a state championship.
Yep.
Right.
We've won regionals. We've been to state semifinals. There is no other step for us but a state championship, and that's what we're shooting for every year from this point on. That's our goal. That's the next level for us. That's the cherry.
You know, let's recap this season because, like, this is the thing. For one, I'm happy. And the reason why I'm happy because I'm a product of the city school. I went to John F. Kennedy, which we were never good in football, nothing. But we had great athletes. Great guys, but it just everybody else had better programs to say they won't because those guys couldn't play. But shout out to all those guys, man. We had some warriors and stuff like that. But when it just came to in the wins and losses, it's just the losses outweighed the wins. But but to see TJ Armstrong, Huguenot come back this year, man, it was really good, man. And I'll be the first to say I didn't get to any of y'all games. The game that I was coming to got canceled was the game against Huguenot.
Gotcha.
And we had some fool or some idiot or whatever what they did is I don't know what happened with that, man. It was just messed up because we were trying to really do something good. Is Huguenot on the schedule for y'all play again this year? Did y'all know of?
Huguenot is not on the schedule. We removed that game for the simple reason is it's a lot of different various reasons why we had to take that game off the schedule. One of the main things is obviously, as you talked about, was that situation. I think the city of Richmond, in terms of as a local government, but also RPS, they just felt that game was kind of deemed to be a situation where it could escalate out of control again. Also, as well, it's just from various different things within the history of the two programs and not putting ourselves in that position. I think between the athletic directors, they felt it was the best thing to make sure in terms of that decision as well. So it's unfortunate.
Listen, man, let me
it's
tell
unfortunate. Because we really realized how impactful that game would have been last year. And the same thing for this year as well.
It was sold out. The game was sold out.
Right.
Sold out like about 3 or 4 weeks in advance. It was sold out. Sold out.
I had trouble trying to get as a media person. Until I talked to Coach Scott, and he said, "I got you."
Yeah, it was sold out. I mean, that game. Listen, I came on the field when I found out because it went through phases. I came on the field and I was like, guys, I got some good news and bad news. I said the bad news is that we won't be able to play Huguenot the way it was scheduled to be. I said the good news is we're gonna play. The bad news is your parents won't be able to be there because at first they took all the fans away. Man, my guys were still we would have played that game.
Really?
And I know they would have too. I don't think either side we cared about no fans. Let's get this. And that's what made it so hurtful,
right?
Because once they took away the fans, we were like, okay, let's play football.
Right.
They still canceled it. That like literally we were getting on the bus. And
see, that's the thing that makes me mad. Y'all know when we came up in the 90s, man, I'm saying how things were. We knew who the troublemakers were. But we were still able to go to those games. And we're not going to sit up here and act like that fights didn't happen after the game and stuff like that. But y'all know when the old Huguenot, when you come down that hill, man, you up on that hill and everybody watching, the games and stuff like that, man, I was looking for because financially it definitely impacts the city.
Yes.
As far as the concessions and ticket sales, helps with uniforms and stuff like that, man. And I'm just like, okay, so now we're just going to stick to just like George Wilf, nobody's going to come. I mean, other than the parents because they're not back yet.
Right.
Y'all gonna play Armstrong again this year?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so the good thing they on the schedule.
Yes, they're on the schedule.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, and y'all play John Marshall regularly anyway.
Yeah, we play John Marshall. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's been one of my biggest things. Like this year is adding some more. We want a tougher schedule. We want to add some more, and that's just not to negate anybody else that we play that's
Right.
on our schedule. But I think that's one of the things that a lot of people. Well, TJ isn't playing anybody. Well, we play who we line up from. We're a 3A school by classification. We're a 2A school by numbers. What we actually have in our school.
Wow.
Let's keep it a bang.
Yeah, I was ready to ask y'all that.
Listen, they project is based on actual enrollment and projections. Okay, you got to remember we're by Monument. Man, them people from Monument ain't coming to TJ. They kids going to Collegiate, St. Francis, and all of that.
That part right there.
That part, right? So we're a 2A school. I mean, by the numbers. Like, so.
Maggie Walker coming to school.
Yeah, so, and we're still playing 5 and 6A programs.
Right.
And I don't care what they look like or whatever. We're going out there and we're beating them, and I don't understand look who you're playing or whatever. So we did. Like this year, we added IC Norcom to the schedule, and we go down there. They got a 5-star kid, 4 or 5.
Oh yeah, that
4-star
wide
kid.
receiver.
Yeah.
Yes.
So look, man, we want
Number 6.
we want to do. Of course, I want another undefeated season. But if we're going to see tougher competition to get ready for the playoffs, then that's our goal. So I mean, like Harry's my guy. Harry, like listen, man, I'll call Harry. I'll call Val. I'll reach out to Coach Johnson. You know what I mean? And to get information about certain things that I may like. For instance, I call Harry about the schedule. What do you think about this team? What do you think about this? Because we start the new cycle next year. So Harry was giving me some advice on that. So I take advantage of all of that stuff. So
when you say Harry Lee Daniel. Okay.
Yeah. That's
okay.
my
Shout
man.
out to Harry Lee.
Yeah, that's my man.
Yeah. So and that's the thing. Let me address that real quick before you get in here, Coach Banks. And I'm gonna say this, like I'm gonna do Puka, Coach Puka. Where that camera at? First of all, for some of you people that want to address why they're not playing certain schools or who you playing against, let me correct some of y'all. Most of y'all kids, most of the parents that's out here, y'all were living in the city. Y'all chose to leave the city and go somewhere else. So, of course, the enrollment of the county is going to be much higher than it is in the city. Mm-hmm. If you want them to be in a 5A, move your asses back to the damn city so some of these city schools can play up. Until then, shut up. just be quiet. Because, I mean, am I right?
No, you 100% correct.
I mean,
you 100% correct. And that's when I'm glad you touched on that. That's something that I'm glad. The evolution of city, not just city football, but city sports and athletes itself right now.
Right.
You see the evolution in that because now by the success of our program, the success of Armstrong, the success of Huguenot,
right,
we're all able now to retain the talent within the city itself.
Right.
And as we continue our success within our programs, regardless of how competitive it is within our, within the city, because it's the same thing within the county, we feel more and more talent, and these kids and these parents are going to maintain their residence in the city of Richmond. And
right.
so that is, to be perfectly honest, that is a huge misconception because they are relocating out to the county in terms of Henrico, Chesterfield.
Right.
And so it is affecting the enrollment. It is affecting in terms of the level of competition. But we have a thing where we talk about amongst our staff is we consider ourselves the road warriors. Every year, as you know, we don't have lights on our field.
No.
So we're playing our games on the road 80% of the season. Last year we was blessed to have considerably 4 home games, and a lot of them games was played at Virginia Union. Mm-hmm. But most of the time, man, we are on the road, and we're okay with that because right now within our program, it's a mentality thing. It's something that we've embedded as the coaching staff, and we put that into our kids. So we feel we always in an uphill battle in terms of what we're able to do, and that's the chip on our shoulder that we kind of keep amongst ourselves and keep among our kids that gives us that competitive advantage going into the games, going into the season at all times like that. So we like it. We embrace it, to be perfectly honest.
We just dropped our schedule yesterday. We got
give us a rundown on that schedule. If you can remember.
We got first game, we got Greensville. Then the next game, we go to Meadowbrook, at Meadowbrook.
Okay.
Come back home against Amelia. And that's going to be at Union. And get this, that's our homecoming.
Amelia.
Third game of the
Third
season.
game is your homecoming.
Because the rest, baby, we on the road.
Homecoming and senior night.
And senior night.
We got to consolidate both. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
What?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes,
and the
sir.
rest, and then that's all. Then after that, I can't remember the order, but who did I say? I said Amelia, right?
You said
So after
Amelia.
That's
Then
your
we got
homecoming
to go down to
Then
IC.
we go down to Norcom. Then we
Okay,
go to
go to
Norcom.
Norcom.
Then we come back and we go to John Marshall.
Marshall.
And then it's the county. Then it's Godwin, Deep Run, Tucker.
Glen Allen.
Not Glen Allen.
Yeah.
We're looking at putting them on. We're going to talk about next cycle, putting them back on.
Okay.
Tucker, and then Colonial Heights, and then we got Armstrong. And we're at Armstrong. That game's probably going to be flexed because they're going to have a pretty good record. So they're probably going to they like we use Unionville. This is probably going to be down in state.
Yep.
So.
yeah.
But yeah, the rest of that's it. After the first three, that's a wrap. We on the road.
Man, that is wow.
Yep.
Are you crazy? Like all those games in the road. You tell me this. Well, look, one good thing, at least the singing night gonna be warm.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's gonna be warm. It's
For
gonna
sure.
be warm. Yeah, it's
sure.
gonna be
Warm.
warm. Yeah, so that'll be
And that's another thing too. And let me just touch on this, Coach. That's another thing too. We're playing against, regardless of how people deem the competition, we're playing against 2 6A programs, 3 5A programs. So when you talk about the strength in numbers, but you also talk about how we're matching that up with our kids in terms of our depth, how we're coaching, how strategic we're being, with how we do things on a week-to-week basis, how we prepare our kids, both mentally, physically, emotionally, the things that we have to be able to deal with. And on top of that, like we just talked about, on the road, 8 games.
Man, we were 4 homecomings last year.
4 homecomings.
Wow.
So guess what?
4 homecomings.
We go into every game,
Right.
chip on the shoulder.
On your shoulder, right?
Keep scheduling us.
Yeah, homecoming game is like, okay, we can beat y'all.
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
And y'all beat all of them.
All
Yes.
Of them. All of them. Godwin, Tuck. I mean, like I don't.
Oh yeah, you know they was doing that on purpose.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Wow, man. You know what? And that's crazy, man. Y'all went undefeated, man. Y'all had the city, man. Everybody was talking about y'all. Was on every news channel, every social media outlet, and everything, man. And it was just crazy. So I'm glad. I'm like again. I got a lot of friends that went to TJ and stuff like that. You know, we was always cool. Like I said, I went to Kennedy. I was like, look. And the thing, man, I can't say we beat them. We beat them in basketball. Couldn't ever beat them in football. You know what I'm saying? But no, man, it was good because again, the fact that y'all got college coaches coming to TJ
Oh yeah.
Consistently.
when y'all was putting the pictures out there, I said, "Hey, y'all, you ain't gotta leave now. You ain't gotta go to Trinity. You ain't gotta go to Collegiate. You ain't gotta go to Stewart or some of these other schools and stuff like that, man." So that is big time that y'all doing that, man.
Our
That's
big fella just pulled his first D1 last week too.
Really?
Xavier Artis, the big lineman that been all on Rivals and all that. So
okay.
Dale State offered, many more to come. I mean, UVA and their line coach. I mean, people are coming in with their line coaches, and we got some studs up in there, man. So I'm just, and I'm coming at them. I'm letting them know, look, don't come through Richmond unless you stop by.
Right. There you go.
The same way that I crafted the email or either the message and sent to you in terms of just giving you a breakdown and requesting to be on this podcast. It's the same way I'm working around the clock throughout the day. I mean, I'm talking about sometimes I get restless. So I'm up at 5 a.m. I'm on Twitter. I'm hounding these coaches. I'm sending them DMs. I'm tagging them. I'm contacting them, and they're hitting me back periodically. And once they do, in terms of their correspondence, I get on the phone. I'm calling Coach Harris first thing in the morning. We on the phone hours talking about making sure he at the building. So when they coming through, we just setting up the appointments. And if they not contacting me, they contacting him, and we're just pretty much that. That's the cohesion. We're going back and forth, trying to making sure that we are getting these kids their exposure, getting them in the building, and being consistent about it. Because the main thing is, like you say, we're winning. So we're winning. That just should let you know, right, that we have studs, we have athletes that's in the building, and they need these opportunities because we know for a fact they're going out to the county. And as they should. We know that there's talent out there, and a lot of these programs have created that reputation to sustain the winning, to have winning cultures, winning programs, state championships. But guess what? You know what? We haven't gotten over that hump, like Coach said earlier, in terms of
We've been getting there. We knocking on the door.
But we knocking on the door, and we're winning successfully, and we've been that way consistently for the past 8 years. So we're just trying to making sure that is something that we're known for, and not even that, not just being known for a winning program, winning culture. But like Coach said earlier, sending kids to college and graduating. I kind of want to touch bases as you kind of went through the rundown, earlier with our kids. We got a kid right now that just got signed to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jalen Jackson.
I saw that. Congrats, man.
You know what I mean? And what people don't understand, honestly, that was a kid that I coached when I first got to the program in 2014. He was on my freshman team. He had just got the TJ. So to see this kid grow from that stage on up until where he's at now professionally, and just to talk about that, that transcendence over the time it's just amazing to see, and something to be proud for, not just as a coach, but as a huge representation of our program. And that kid got his degree. That's something that we kind of want to talk to people about as well. As being on this platform, our kids graduate. That
is huge. That is. I've been doing this for 27 years. Before I came back to TJ, I was at Freeman for a lot of years. So I've been training kids and mentoring kids. I have a program in the summer, Athletes to the Boardroom, where we bring young men in. We bring on a mental health agency, so we bring them in. We sit them down. The one thing is we don't deal with athletics. I get other business owners to come in. We talk about, like last time we did it, it was fiscal responsibility. But we broke down this, and here's my thing, man. I feel like we owe an obligation. Like, these are my young men that play for me, but my doors have always been open to any especially any young black child that wants to better himself due to his situation. Now, that doesn't mean that, like I said, I was at Freeman. I love my wife. I love kids, period. Right. For my guys as well.
But how tough it is for us.
I do. I understand that. And here's the thing. A lot of them know it too. Right. So they know it. They know Coach got love for them, but they know that some people have it a little bit more difficult than others. And like Coach was saying about writing those emails and sending that stuff out, yeah, they're coming because they know the program. Listen, I don't care how well he can write, and he can write now. When they get that email, if they look up TJ and say they was 2-8 last year, they're gonna be like, man, they was 10-1 last year. You know what I'm saying? They're having a lot of connections from over the years because I was the recruiting coordinator at Freeman when I was there. So building those, and in the summertime, taking kids to camp, building those relationships, and you got guys that trust you. So I know a lot of these guys, man, and throughout the course, and you have to be able to invest in your program. When I came back to TJ 3 years ago as an offensive coordinator, our first game of the season, we played against Armstrong. Isaiah Johnson, AZ, had a hell of a game, right? I could not wait to get home to upload that and start sending it out, right? Man, we had a camcorder.
Camcorder.
We had a camcorder that I'm talking about. All you saw was a white blurb and a blue blurb. So guess what I did that Saturday? I got up. I went right to Best Buy, slapped my credit card down. Man, give me that 4K. Spent $1,500 because that's what it's going to take to get these kids. Now, I'm not saying like everybody got to do it or whatever. Thank God I'm fortunate enough to do that. Right. But listen, my kids need this. You know what I'm saying? So we cannot send out tapes looking like this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So boom, I'm going to make this investment in them because it's going to pay off. It's already paid for itself. AZ on a full ride.
Yep.
Because the very next week I got him in 4K. Now you really can see what he can do, and them offers just start coming. They just start coming. So you got to invest in your program and do things like that. And I think these college coaches see it. Yeah. They have conversations with them, so they feel comfortable. Hey, coach, I'm gonna be up there, or hit him. Yep. Like he said, he's gonna make sure I'm in the vicinity, I'm in the building, and we're gonna be there to meet him.
Well, I tell you what, man, and I'm gonna tell y'all, when y'all watch this podcast, they ain't lying, because when they hit me on Saturday night and I'm in my mode, I usually don't even respond, because I was going to call Zach and say, hey, Zach, man, this is what I got going on. I said, you know what? I already booked it, whatever. This is how y'all should do it, y'all. This is called mutual respect. When you get a message and you respond back in a timely manner, then they respond back to you and say, okay, well, let me check on it. Now, he didn't wait till Tuesday. He didn't wait till next Friday. He actually hit me right back and say, hey, all three of us are down, and we're going to come in and do this right away. I said, cool, let me give y'all confirmation. Just like that. Now, usually with BallinVA, it don't work like that. Jack will tell you, it usually don't work that. Y'all just happen to just get very, very lucky, but it just worked out. But that's what y'all should do. Don't have me waiting like y'all going to ask me to come on, but then I got to wait 2 and 3 days and going to be like this. And then they call me and say, hey, man, the date on the 15th, man, did y'all need it? I'm like, I'm still waiting on them. Don't we do that, Zach, a lot? People don't understand, so that what makes me mad. So I appreciate y'all being very proactive than reactive, because exactly that's what we all about here. So that I know these guys about it. Because I said, he sent me, and I said, yeah, the way he was well written, I said, okay, he must be well written everything. So I was like, okay, I ain't gonna play with him. Let me just go ahead and finish your back, because I don't know who the other side of this email.
Now, you know, the funny part about that is I was in my living room, me and my wife was chilling. And she was like, "What are you over there working on?" I said, "I'm drafting up this message right now. I'm sending it to BallinVA podcast." I said, "I'm about to get this out right now. Just give me a second." So I'm writing it up, right? So once I got it, went through it, kind of edited it, I sent it. I said, "All right, I don't know when he gonna respond back to me, but you know what? I feel good about it. I just got it out there." And then how prompt you responded back to me after you responded back to me, I got the message. I immediately got on the phone and called up Coach Hagan, and then I was sending the emails. I mean, sending the text. We got a text thread, And
yeah,
so,
man, y'all was on that thing like 5 after 11, man.
I said, What we doing, man? Let's make this happen right now, because like we talked about earlier, I already knew in terms of the vacancy, your window was tight. I know that you probably got a lot of people that you inquire about getting on here, so time and the scheduling is limited. I said, so let me be proactive and take advantage of it right away. You know what I mean? Because
I'm glad you did.
Because I thought it was important, just because of the transition of where we at right now as a program, which I hope Coach kind of get into and talk about of what we've been doing this off season. And I kind of came up, I was thinking about it because we were sitting around, all three of us over the weekend, especially me. And I just love the podcast that you did with Puka and Coach Scott and the other guys that was on here.
Yeah,
and I said, man, I said, you know what? It's time for our program to kind of get some more exposure as we're working on our rebranding, as we're cultivating in our program. Man, let's get on here, let me get my coaches on here, and let's just talk about some of the good things that we got going on right now in terms of our transition right now. And I just, and that's why I immediately sent you the message, and it was very thoughtful in terms of how I laid it out.
You laid it out well, man. And shout out to those coaches, man. Coach Puka, Coach Scott, Coach Woody, Coach Jabbar, Coach Wood. Somebody else was here too, Coach Robbie. Man, I appreciate them because he was
Chris
there.
Was there too, Chris.
Yeah, Chris Woody was here. You got, like I said, that was something they wanted to do. I said, hey, man, come on. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I was actually sitting there watching Boo Williams' girls because they were out in Arizona. So I was already on my iPad. Mm-hmm. And then I said, okay, so it was halftime. So I was just scrolling. And I looked, I said, like, immediately I'm in that mode, like I'm trying to watch the girls play. And it just worked out, man. So I thank y'all, man, just for considering stuff like that. But like I said, let's kind of go back again. Let's kind of recap. Y'all went 10-0. Yep. And in the playoffs, y'all played first game. Y'all played Goochland. Okay. Then y'all beat them. Then what y'all next game was? Armstrong. Okay. What happened that game? Because I think the consensus was everybody knew that y'all was going to win. So kind of give us kind of details on what happened or things didn't work out in your favor that day.
Well, first of all, shout out to Armstrong, their coaches, their young men. They came out, they played a hell of a game. Mm-hmm. It took me a while. You know what I mean? Like, understandably, like losing a game like that. It took me a while for me to even watch that game, right? Mm-hmm. But watching that game is what led to what Coach mentioned, brought up a little bit earlier, as far as where we are now, as far as how we're preparing and doing things for the season. Mm-hmm. But hey, man, those guys came out, they were ready to play. Mm-hmm. And we had a really good week of practice that week. We had a great week of practice that week. Our guys I think like it was a role reversal. The first week we played them, we punched. That first time we played them, we punched them in the mouth.
Yeah, y'all beat them.
The next time they came back, 3 weeks later. You know what I'm saying? They had some energy, and our guys, I mean, like they went on that first drive, right? The first drive they went on, about a 15-play drive, right? So like. And I'll be the first one to tell you, like, I've met with my guys, like, we've trashed it. We've put it behind us. But, like, I met with them, like, this was in December, right?
Yeah.
Like, when we really started kicking in, I brought it up because I had broke the film down. On that drive, there were like 2 third downs on there where like literally we got them in the backfield. I mean, it's 4th and 8. And
Wow.
it's 4th and 8. We missed tackles. You know, we got guys stepping back, not filling holes. I mean, so it was just little stuff like that. On the very next drive, we moving the ball down the field. We in their territory. My center, snap over the head. I mean, so little stuff like that. So, and it just was an enclave after that. And you know, we talked about the numbers that we're working with and how strategic we are in the, you know, throughout the course of the season as far as our players, our playing time, and making sure. Well, we had lost our all-state linebacker, Zay King, who came to us from Verona. We lost him for, you know, all-state linebacker, first team all region. Our backup linebacker that we had, who was all region first team the year before, D Nice, messed up hamstring. Then our outside linebacker, Jarrell Hodges, who was playing on the cortisone shot. We knew that was going to wear off. He was playing on that for like the last 4 weeks, and then that week of practice, you could tell. We were talking. I was like, it's going to go off, and it went up. Boom, first quarter. So no excuses, but like literally, man, I had my starting guard playing linebacker. He was coming off the field saying, "Coach, I don't know what I'm doing." Like we had our starting guard, first team all district starting guard,
Right.
have to go to linebacker in that game. Early, first quarter. We had to have him go in the game. So that just discombobulated things. I mean, it was an amalgamation of things, man. And at the end of the day, I can't take nothing from them. You know what I'm saying? Those boys came on and played. And, you know, like I said, Tony, phenomenal quarterback. AJ, why he's not playing D1 football is a shame. That wide receiver, AJ, he's
Wow, I got hearing about him.
I coached him in the Big River rivalry game. So I got a chance to really talk to him, and he was telling me how his dream school was Maryland. And I'm like, yo, bro, like I played against this kid for 2 years. How he's not there is just mind blowing. So, but that's how it happened, man. And, you know, we took our lunch, but it made us better for it. It made me better as a head coach. I can tell you that. It made me better.
Coach, got that?
You know, and I completely concur with 100% of what Coach said in terms of just how the breakdown was. I know for me, when I look back on it and I kind of process it internally, I'm one of the emotional coaches on the staff. You know what I mean? Like, I like to really play mind games with my kids. You know what I mean? All week building up to them. So I play a lot of mind games in terms of, like I was telling you earlier, the chip on the shoulder. You know, they think y'all soft. Just getting into their head, because a lot of our kids within the city, that's the mentality you got to have. A lot of our boys, they get it out the mud. You know what I mean? Like, everything that we have as a program, we work for. We grind for. So our kids, it's nothing different than how it is when we coach. It doesn't take away from the fact that we coach on a high level from an X's and O's standpoint, but it goes into the fact that our kids are driven and predicated based on emotion. That week, like Coach said, it was a great week of practice in terms of preparation. We came in there in terms of film study. Our kids was very well prepared in terms of the offensive side of the offensive game plan and what we were going to do up front, defensive game plan, even though we had injuries, what we were going to do. But what happened was, like Coach said, mentally, we went from being the hunters to the hunted. The roles reversed psychologically. And I felt like, me as a coach, I let the program down because I didn't get into these kids' heads to let them know they still don't respect y'all. You know how hard we had to work to get within the Richmond Times Dispatch, to get within the CBS Sports, local sports ratings, to get on the top 10?
Yeah, it was a big debate about that.
It was a big debate about that, right? So our kids were pissed off about that all year long. So what I said was, listen, we're going to fuel this every week. We're going to fuel this aspect within our program, and we're going to come on, we're going to dominate physically, mentally on the football field. But that week coming into there, like Coach said, great practice. I mean, every day felt good. We came in, we executed. But one thing, what I felt like going into that game, I did not stress to my kids that, you know what, they still don't respect y'all, because we had reached a certain level of success and went into that game, we beat them.
We beat them already.
And they came
convincingly.
in, felt disrespected. And that emotional aspect, I felt played a huge part. It wasn't so much of the coaching aspect and the game planning. Even though, like Coach said, tip my hat up to Armstrong coaches. They did a phenomenal job in terms of some of the things they did preparation-wise. But we didn't tap in emotionally to our kids, and I felt a lot of that made a difference.
They did nothing differently. And I watched the podcast when they were on here, and I heard Coach Pruitt talk about the defensive changes he made. We were still moving the ball. The thing is, by the time when we got down, our kids just what I had never seen it. And mind you, now we beat Godwin this year. We were down. We came back. We scored 21 points in 8 minutes against Godwin.
Wow.
To win that game.
In a hostile environment.
And it's hostile out there.
Homecoming, hostile, and so
everything.
I'm looking in their eyes as they're coming off, and I'm like, and I take that personally. You know, and like the formation they came out in and they scored in, man, they did it the first game. We shut it down. Period. The difference was I had healthy linebackers. Didn't have healthy linebackers. And when you're emotional leader, when I talk about Isaiah King, not only is he a leader on the field as far as what he does, he tore his ACL the first game against him. So we played the last few games without him. What he brings to the team, like, is next level. So to lose that, it was a game that we knew that his emotional leadership on the field was going to hurt us. But yeah, kudos to them, man. And like I said, it just made us better as a coaching staff. And the turnout with our guys this year has been crazy.
Yeah, so, and that's what I was going to ask you. I wrote that down. Make sure I didn't forget that.
Like it's been phenomenal. So like,
what we averaging, Coach? 30, 35 kids.
Yeah, and let me tell you, when I first got to TJ,
thank you, because I was ready to ask you that.
When I first got to TJ, and mind you, now we got kids playing the track, playing baseball, so these kids are active, even the ones that aren't there. But when I first got to TJ, and I would come out there in the spring because I was OC and I'm doing some installs, and around the time I averaged like 5 to 7 kids. On a good day, I had 10 kids. On an average day, I'm getting like 5 kids. Wow. You know what I'm saying? So like, I mean, like now, it's no question we're out there. Like I told you today before I left, man, I just had to stop and and that's something that I'm not going to post. I'm not going to put that on the internet, but it's just for me because it's showing what we're putting into this program and where we want to go. So I can't express enough how proud I am of these young men and what they're doing. So yeah, they got us.
No, man, I was going to say, so the average, how many kids y'all had on the team last year? Just the kind
in terms of the varsity?
At varsity.
Probably, I mean, typically I would say average in terms of numbers. We probably average anywhere between 38 to 42 kids dressing every single week.
That's dressing.
That's dressing.
Now, varsity type players, we got about 25.
Yeah.
Like about 25. Like that's us dressing young guys that are not going to ever touch the field unless we up 50. You know what I mean? So like that's what I'm saying. Like when you lose kids like that,
it hurts you.
Listen, man, TJ is the lowest as far as feeders. We got 1.25 feeders into our school. And when you take away the monument area and the area right across that far end zone, those houses over there, bro, they're not coming over there.
They're not.
You know what I'm saying? So like for us, when what we do, like Coach said, you gotta get it, out the mud. There's no savior coming to save us. We got to do it ourselves.
And it's funny because I was and before you go, Coach, I was talking to Coach Darryl Overton at Freedom, and he was saying he was dealing with the same struggles being a Division VI school. But you only got about 40. I think they probably had 44, 45 kids on there.
Numbers,
And if it weren't for his program, his AAU program, they wouldn't even be coming to the program. And you can see now they just got a football coach because they ain't got nobody over there to coach.
Yeah.
It's bad, man.
Yeah. But see, that little things like that too also goes into coaching at a high level. Is being able to be strategic with the numbers that you have in terms of your structure of your program, the design of your program, how you organize things. One thing I love about Coach Harris is, and I'm gonna give him his flowers, the man is a stickler on organization. He's very anal and meticulous about certain things, and so am I, because you have to be when you're trying to manage and govern a high school level football program to be good, it's the very minute things that go unnoticed that makes you a successful winning program. So I think those things strategically you have to have in place to be able to win and keep it consistent. And like Coach said, even the numbers that we were averaging. I mean, I had 9 running backs yesterday in my offensive indie running back group.
That was crazy.
It was crazy. I never been so. First of all, I was excited about getting to practice because I just love indie days anyway. So getting there, being able to put my guys through circuits and bag drills and just work with them and have my position group to myself. You know what I mean? Because that's my sanctuary and my RB group. But being able to have 9 guys right now and doing offensive indie in terms of our offensive day on Mondays was a beautiful thing. You know what I mean? That's the total numbers that Coach said we would have years ago in terms of just this time of the year. So culturally, we are continuously cultivating and changing the environment of the program. And these are all things and all positives that you could take away from where we were and to where we at now. And we're going to consistently keep that because people see the success that we're having in terms of our program, and they're going to want to come be a part of that. Kids are coming in, and they want to be a part of that. Kids in the building. I just want to touch bases really quickly on something like Coach talked about earlier as well. Us being a 3A school. Well, Larry, in reality, we're supposed to be a 2A school. We only have right now like about 650 something kids within that school. That's on a give or take, and that is what Miss Potee, the principal, has. That was the numbers, the statistical data that she provided me. When we went to regionals to do regional voting up there with Brentsville, it was at Cultivating High School. That's where they hosted it at.
Wow.
We was talking to Warren County High School, Cultivating High School, Brentsville, Kettle Run. Them guys average 1,100 to 1,200 kids.
And they're in our region.
As a 3A. We are the lowest number of 3A. I believe we're the lowest 3A number in terms of enrollment in a high school in the state of Virginia. I argue that.
That's the problem. But okay, you know what? I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna go there. See, that's the thing that. Don't tell me that it can't happen. Years ago, I want to say in the early 2010s, I see Norcom. Norcom was winning basketball. They won 4 straight basketball championships. They petitioned to go up. They wouldn't let them go up. But one particular school that's been on my show, I'm not going to say their names, but who were, kind of got them, I guess, got tired of them winning. They end up going down, and eventually that school end up winning. But again, how are you got 1,100 school kids? And so if you're at okay, I'm all over the place. If you're 1,100, what classification should you be?
Technically, that if you look at if you really study the numbers within the VHSL and see, I'm a numbers guy, right? That puts you in the 3 to 4A classification.
Right, should be 4, right?
If we
You
at
know what I mean?
6, you should at least be at 4.
So it just depends. I think a lot of that also is predicated based on the region and how the schools are districted as well. Because you got to think about it. They're on the cusp of Northern Virginia. So they're at that Fauquier County. They're at that area where they don't necessarily qualify to be almost in 4A. And so, but they're at that line.
At that line right there.
Exactly, where they can cut it off at or whatever.
No, I was up, my son lives in that area. So we went up there last week, and I was like, he said, Dad, yeah, Brentsville and them down that way. I said, we ain't going down that way. I kind of heard some stories about going down there. Like, no. But I'm just saying, but yeah, man, but they got more resources.
Yes.
And all of these things that they got up there. I was like, wait a minute. I said, you got Kettle Run and Brentford, those schools in 3. I said, when you have a 3A school in Northern Virginia, unless they must have broke up some counties, and it's like, okay, you know what, we just going to kind of chop this up.
Well, a lot of people don't know too as well. I was telling Coach about this because, like I said, I'm the numbers guy on the coaching staff. I do a lot of numbers and where I work. So what I found out is on my research, the equivalency of Kettle Run and Brentsville is like us in Armstrong. We're all located in the city, right? We're at different parts. Like the Armstrong is on the east end, we're on the west end, right? Where you got Kettle Run and Brentsville, they're both located inside Nokesville.
Right.
Nokesville
Nokesville.
is basically right outside of Prince William, so it's right there. They right down the street from each other.
Prince William, Manassas.
Yes,
And my son is
all
in
of that.
Manassas.
Yeah.
So he's in between. Nokesville is up this way. Manassas sits right here. And then Prince William is back this way.
Yeah, because
It's all right there.
Nokesville is right there in between Manassas and Gainesville.
Gainesville,
and so because I went to school to George Mason, so that's how I kind of.
My son go to George Mason.
Okay, got you. So that's how I'm very familiar with, because I lived in the Nova area for 8 years.
Yep.
So for me, I'm really good, and I got some guys. I mean, a guy I play football with, he coaches basketball, JV basketball. He coached at Brentsville. So we kind of know in terms of that, in terms of what the numbers is and how it is. I don't understand the justification for it.
I don't understand
because
it either.
Manassas Park is 3A, and they are horrible.
Oh my God! Don't even get me started. I was like, they are. Oh my God, go awful. But you see how much they built up down around there now, man. It's the Manassas and Gainesville. You see what they did to Gainesville? I'm like, they got a Wegmans and stuff
It's
up there.
crazy, man.
Crazy.
Yeah, even Culpepper. And with all that being said, though,
It's basically y'all playing up.
And listen, man, with all that being said, listen, if it's smoke, then we want it. I mean, this is what it is. We got to play the hand we was dealt. You know, and that's one of the things that is a staple in this program. Listen, I'm from Detroit, born and raised, and listen, I'm telling you, you want to talk about hood, so when people talk about all of that kind of stuff, listen, been there, done that, and let me just tell you something, man. I'm fortunate enough that every significant coach in my life is a Hall of Fame coach. My high school football, basketball. I came here on a basketball scholarship. I was recruited by the great Dave Robbins, Coach Calloway, rest in peace, Coach Cal. And, you know, even at Union when I played football too, you know what I'm saying, it was Coach Bailey. All of these men taught me, you know, you are not your situation. Our weight room, like somebody asked me, said something about our weight room to me the other day. And I said, so what are you saying? Our weight room is what? In comparison to what? In comparison to where I left at Douglas Freeman, yeah, our weight room isn't Douglas Freeman's weight room. But in comparison to my high school in Detroit, and when I played at Virginia Union, our weight room is Gold's Gym, bruh. Because where I came from, I trust and believe me, our weight room had a bench, and I'm talking about some old kettlebells, and that was it. And at Union, you were known to walk out that weight room with that rust mark across your bar, because everything in there was rusty. So, I mean, that's the biggest thing that we want to do, is make sure that our young men understand we don't play nobody's victim. You know, that's we're not.
Y'all need things too, man.
Yeah. We're not poor sisters of the poor. Listen, and like I said with that camera, I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna get out there and do it. Like right now, I'm selling our jerseys from last year because we got some new jerseys for this year coming up. Look,
okay,
I mean, listen. So I'm out there and people are buying them, man. We got alumni, you know, people. Some of our current players, their parents are they buying. Listen, we're gonna make it happen. Like, so at the end of the day, we're not less than. And that's the main thing that I want to put through to my guys is point blank and period.
We got to get the community involved. So tell us if y'all need anything, by all means say it, because I mean there's a lot of people that and I want to say this too. Shout out to my Prince William group, man, because when Armstrong talked about the things and the resources and things they need, people out there, Chuck Sang was out there in Highland Springs and Bobby Costner, thank y'all, because they actually helped donate some things to Armstrong. In that podcast, I was like, I was getting calls every minute, like boom, 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 DM, hey man, what can we help out? What can you help out? So if y'all need anything, man, tell people what y'all need, because people watch this, and when I put this clip out there, they're gonna be like, hey Lee, what do we need? I'm like, hey man, I'm gonna put you in with Coach Harris, Coach Banks, whatever, because people are giving. Yeah. And these are just people, and the main people that were giving was Highland Springs people. So I was like, y'all need to stop talking about the third. And Coach Johnson even said himself, hey man, if y'all need anything, tell them to call me. Yeah. We got stuff that we got too much of that we can help people. Shout out to Coach Johnson. And he told me that personally. Gotcha. So again, he said, no, if you have anything, he said, Lee, you have anybody, tell them to call me. Okay. Well,
no, without a doubt. You know, anybody who want to make any donations to us, please go to TJ Viking Fund, earmark it football team, and we can use every dime you can spare. As far as equipment, listen, like I said, we're good. I'm not gonna sit here and say we got 2035 stuff, but our stuff is good. We just got brand new helmets, got our helmets reconditioned, our shoulder pads, all of that. We just got new uniforms. It came from a lot of hard work from myself and the coaches. But trust me, we always need, we definitely need some new field equipment.
Of course.
Yeah, so if you want to do something like that,
for sure.
you know, please go to TJ Viking Fund. Your donation, it's a 501c3. Just earmark football because they collect for the whole school and the programs, and we could definitely use it. Appreciate it.
Well, I'm definitely going to do that because I'm looking at that mark so I can remember when I put that clip out there. I know exactly where to find it. Yeah. While we was on that, man, you know, with everything, again, we talked about having Coach Pruitt on here, and I told you I want to kind of get on there to talk about the situation that happened between TJ and Armstrong.
Yeah. Let's get it.
Let's go right into it, man.
All right, so
let's address that.
All right, bet. All right, so here we go. So here's the deal, man. The day after the game, all right, I'm out of town, right? And so I had an engagement, and I'm out of town. Thank God I got a chance to get away. And I get a text message from one of my players, and it comes in with the meme that was posted on his page. And the text message said from this young man, "F this coach, I'm about to slide." And for those of you who don't know, slide means he's about to pull up. He's about to go do something stupid. This is a young man, it's a freshman. He was the subject of this meme. He was embarrassed, he was hurt, he was upset. And I was angry. I was beyond angry because kids are gonna be kids at the end of the day. You know, kids are gonna be kids. And so I'm not gonna sit here and say I don't have a problem. I do have a problem with young men doing that, because see, it's the same thing that, you know, when you came from a place like Detroit and you've lived it and you've seen it, you know, and how I grew up, you understand and you respect it. You don't play with it. And I'm gonna tell you right now, the deadliest thing in the world is the tongue. You understand that? And then when you're in a position of a grown man and a leader, I don't care what your kids are posting. You don't post that.
Okay.
You don't put that up. And they already talked about it on the show, so I can say it, right?
Right.
So it was the meme of the Boys in the Hood scene where Ricky was shot. He said it was him tripping over Ricky. No, what he left out was it was the whole meme. With the guy with the sawed off hanging out of the car,
out the back seat,
with my player laying on the ground. I don't care if your players did put that up. As a grown man, as a leader of men, you don't put that up. And so I heard him say his thing was to call him. Well, he and Coach Hagan, they have the relationship with Pruitt. I called them. You understand what I'm saying? I didn't want to talk to him because there's certain things that we as men, especially black men, we have to be extremely cognizant of. You can't come over here and talk about the environment in which your kids live in, but you propagate that kind of stuff.
That's true.
It's not. It's not. It's crazy. So I was upset about it. I gave it a couple of days. His players started putting out memes about me. This is that and the other. Oh, let me tell you this too. The meme that was put out about we left him at Hovey Field with the Malcolm X.
With the Malcolm X, yeah.
So the kid who posted that, and Coach Banks will tell you, and I got plenty of receipts for you. I'm gonna send them to you.
Okay, because I was getting all
the receipts. I'm going to send them to you. So that young man broke his shoulder first game of the year, the previous season against Armstrong.
Okay.
That beast of a back they had. He came up, he put his, boom, broke his shoulder. Coach Pruitt reposted that video throughout the season last year. Oh. That young man, when he put that up, hey, listen, man, Larry, I'm not a super, if it's one thing, I guess I'm not really, and I've since done that. Like we have staff members that are in charge of our guys' social media. It's me being really vigilant on that social media stuff with that. So I didn't know about it until that happened. But when he immediately stepped in that school and they told me that was up, I ripped him and made him take it down. I have text messages in our group chats where I'm telling our guys the night of the Freeman of that game, yo, I'm hearing about these memes, I'm hearing about these posts, take them down. It's time to move on to Colonial Heights. We have an opportunity to go undefeated.
Right.
That's what we're going to focus on right now. And so this is where everybody, there was some chit-chatting about whether
man.
I had turned him in and different things like that. Listen, I took all the stuff, my receipts, posted it on my social media, and I pointed out the fact that this is not how leaders are supposed to lead. Listen, you've never seen Coach Mills do that. You've never seen Lauren do that. You've never seen my mentor, Mike Henderson, do anything like that. You've never seen Coach Bland do anything. You don't see men in position. Hell, you don't see Puka, any of those guys. Those are my guys. I cut my teeth cutting first coaching Little League over there at Highland Springs. I know all of those guys. I'll give you, I'm on the phone one day with Fareed. Shout out to Fareed.
Shout out to Fareed.
That's my guy. I'm on the phone with him when all of this is going on. And so I'm telling him about this. He's like, yo, E, the guys who know me know. They're like, we know you ain't say nothing about that. We knew what you were doing. He said, but it's funny, he made me remember something. In 2021, when I was the JV coach at Freeman, we played Highland Springs. Fareed has got 100 wins. They celebrated his 100th win.
Sure did.
100th win. Fareed is 101. Do you know who he lost to?
No.
Me at Freeman.
Wow. I didn't know
7-6. And I'm only saying this because this guy has something to do with this story. But that's my guy. When I coached over at Highland Springs, I'm going to tell you, Fareed deserves everything he used to. Fareed was a guy that was in my ear all the time, in this coach's ear, I know Fareed. He loves those kids. He's a great dude. But this was my guy. He called, so the night of the game, he calls me and he says, E, yo, your kids are wilding. They got videos up with coaches on it. You got parents posting stuff. Yo, can you, say less. So I went, posted on Facebook, admonishing my Freeman parents. I called those coaches who had the audacity to be on a video with a kid talking about these kids, because there were some disparaging remarks made about these Highland Springs kids, thugs, this, that, and the third. I pointed out the fact that not only am I a coach, but I'm a black man and I come from the same community that those kids come from. So I, in my whole coaching career, I've only put up two things, reference to football. One was that, and that. See, so I said, you know what, Fareed, I forgot about that. I went back, screenshotted it, and I was gonna post it to just let everybody know, look, this is who I am. This is the type of man I am. So don't act like I got something against this. I'm gonna call out wrong when it's wrong. I called out my largely majority white fan base and kids at Freeman. And I called him out for saying disparaging remarks about them. So I'm going to call this dude out too. I'm going to make sure, because at the end of the day, I'm about these kids, and everybody who knows me knows that. But then that side of me kicked in where, you know what I'm saying, I can't make a fool believe what a fool believe. Y'all go ahead on and believe what y'all believe. But those who know me, they know that's not me. They know what I was putting that up for. I was putting that up to get his attention. I was putting that up to get his attention. Because at the end of the day, like I said, I respect Coach Pruitt for what he did, but he was wrong in that instance. And with all that being said, we chopped it up at the
regionals.
At the regionals, you know what I'm saying? Here, we came and we chopped it up. We talked about it, but that was just uncalled for, man. Like you putting people. These are kids, man. And at the end of the day, it's a game. You won. I get it. And they're saying our kids were doing stuff. Listen, and we had coaches putting up stuff. The thing he said our coach put up about the F the blackout.
Yeah.
Bro, as soon as I found out about it, what did I do? I dug in that coach. I dug in him. You talking about call over there. Yo, he like to say, he said to me at the thing, yo, I'm a big kidder. And bro, I get all that.
Yeah, he said he was a jokester.
Dude, bruh, certain things you don't play with.
Right.
Certain things you don't play with. I don't play about these young men, especially, at this time, this young man, without even knowing, we were dealing with something personal with this young man that whole week. So when that kid told me, this is what you don't know, bruh. You done put this kid up. He just lost the game. And literally that whole week in school, we dealing with stuff with this kid, with social workers, all type of principal, everybody. We got stuff dealing with this kid that we're trying to get straight. And you done put that up on there. You don't know what this young man going through. Coach, what was one of the first rules I put in when I came over there when guys would talk to other players on the sideline? When opposing teams are lined up on side, I don't let us do that. Straight up. I got young coaches that'll be like, yeah, our coaches talk to other teams' players. No, sir, you're not doing that, bro.
Yeah, I see that.
You're not doing that. That's that other coach's child. And guess what? That's that parent's child up in. Would you want somebody saying them? So, we all play the mind games. Oh, he about to come get you, number 4. That's different. But to say something derogative to a kid or something like that, that's not how I roll. And that ain't got nothing to do with your manhood or anything like that. It has everything to do with what's right. Period. So we didn't tell. I mean, they all know who told. He know who told.
Well, it really, and I'm gonna let you get in here, Coach Banks. It affected him because again he was suspended, and the game he was suspended for was the game against was it Brentsville?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Which when you recap the way that they had it, I guess they felt like that if he would have been able to coach that game, they would have won. They came close. I think they was like within a couple of plays or a couple of inches or whatever. They could have pulled it out. And he said it was a tough lesson because he could not be there at all to be able to try to coach that team. And the assistant coach stepped in and did a good job of that. But Coach Banks, no, get in here, man, and give me your spiel from it.
To basically piggyback off what Coach was just saying, I completely 100% agree from his perspective. I think at the particular time, we had so much going on. We had just lost the game. There was a lot of different emotions going on, and then that kind of happened. At the particular time when it happened, it was the weekend. So I was kind of just trying to get myself together, and there were things that were going on. So when everything started going, and my phone was blowing up and then things kind of transpired, that's when I kind of had to get involved and kind of figure out what was going on and get the details of it. And to be perfectly honest, I had a conversation periodically with Coach Pruitt throughout that situation to kind of try to mitigate what was going on. You know what I mean? To understand his mindset or his approach with the situation. And then that's when he was kind of explaining, like he came here and said, he's a big jokester. This is kind of his personality. This is how he is. It was an inner city rival game.
Right.
And the memes that one of our former players had did for him doing it after a couple weeks earlier after that game situation, he felt it was the same situation that he could do in terms of he felt that he was deemed as appropriate to kind of make jokes and do along with it. But like Coach said, we were doing a lot with that particular kid. And then we used that kid as the example, but that particular situation exacerbated outside of just that kid. We had parents that were involved that were blowing up Coach Harris' phone all that weekend. We had people that were contacting our athletic director. We had people that were making phone calls downtown. We were trying to be able to keep this situation and mitigate this situation from being able to get, once again, a similar situation how it exacerbated with Huguenot. Different situation, but we have to think about how things can go from 0 to 100 in a matter of circumstances, depending on how people feel about it emotionally. So there was a lot of moving pieces that were going on behind the scenes within our program that we were trying to get under control to not let turn into something the way it shouldn't have been. But I say all that to say this is like, Coach Harris, Coach Pruitt, they chopped it up in regionals. They hashed it out as men. You can agree to disagree, but the way we see things and how we feel over here, it just was not appropriate based upon that situation. I don't wish that a coach gets suspended, and we even talked about that. We never wished that on any coach based on the situation. There were a lot of rumors. The people felt like, Coach Harris or our staff had something to do with the actual suspension. I can look at the camera and just basically tell the public that's not true. That's a 1,000% lie. Coach Harris nor did anybody from our staff contacted downtown to get Coach Pruitt suspended. I've talked to him and explained to him the kind of what we felt happened during that situation. To say that if he would have coached that game, they would have won, I don't know that.
Right.
But we do know that Pruitt is an exceptional coach for that program, and them kids play hard for him, and things could have been different. But unfortunately, that's the way things happen.
Things happen.
But as Coach said earlier, man, I don't want to keep talking about it. We use that as motivation this off season to get to kind of where we're at right now, and that has propelled us confidently, as well as our program, our kids, as once again more fuel to add to the fire to where we're trying to be and where we're trying to head to. I can't think of anything else outside of that situation, that loss, that can kind of help motivate us to get to the next level. And it's been great ever since, man. Honestly, I really feel like that. We harped on it for a while, the whole circumstance, the whole situation. But I felt like as a coaching staff, it's made us better. It's made us better with our kids. It's made us better as coaches. And we know that there's a lot of correctable things that we have had to do since that situation kind of happened. I'm excited about what we headed to, man, to be completely honest.
And I'll say this too. After the first game we played them, man, like both sides, man, the tension, man, we were really about like, man, should we let these kids go shake hands after the game or what?
Yeah.
And so we were
game.
we were like, yo, pretty much telling our guys to stay back. Our guys and their guys, man, both just bucked the coaching staff, went out there and showed love. I mean, I wrote a beautiful piece on Twitter about it. He reposted it. Mm-hmm. He know. So to know that you don't know who I am as a man, to know that you know that I wouldn't condone, he reposted it, liked it. City of Richmond reposted it, liked it. I talked about how our young men showed us as coaches that night that they got this. They're good. Those young men came out to the middle of the field, hugged each other, loved each other, because Richmond is unlike any other. Like it's unlike the county in the fact that these kids grow up together.
Yep.
These kids, and so like, and here's the big, like for instance, you talk about, and this is the thing that I need people to stop. Stop acting like, being negative towards those kids over there at Armstrong and associating them with that environment that's right next door to it. Because at the end of the day, man, we got kids in our school that live over there. They got kids that live over there that go there, because the beautiful thing about Richmond is it has open enrollment. There's a certain period of the year you can enroll, and so you can get, kids to go to different schools. So we're mixed, man. We got kids that have played Little League together. I mean, like literally, we got kids that literally live down the street from their players. Like they're friends. So that's a big misconception. Oh, Armstrong is, man, we got a mixture from all over the city. All schools do. Yep. Armstrong is just not that, those projects that sit right across the street. They are far from that. Don't let that environment, or don't let that skew you from your belief of who those young people are in that building. And we got kids from over there that's over there with us too, man. So that's the beauty of the city. And those kids that night showed us that, man. That was powerful to me. Powerful.
That was good, because I think RVA Network, showed that game. And I think it was probably, man, I want to say maybe 4,000 or 5,000 people.
Oh, it was packed.
I think I watched the game for about. It's crazy because Harry Lee called me. I think either he went to the game or he was supposed to go. I remember him calling me. He was like, man, he said, man, you watching the TJ game? And that what made me tune it on, because I had just got off work. And I remember him calling me, and I watched it for a little while. I think, I was beating the hell out of him. I was just like, man, I don't even want to watch this no more. You know what I'm saying? So, but again, I'm glad that y'all handle it. From a media person such as myself, my phone was ringing that whole weekend. I was like, wait a minute, look. I didn't cover. I tell people, I followed Holland Springs from beginning to end. They allowed me to just go with them to Florida always. So I really was with them and Maury.
Right.
Because I had the Maury guys, and Maury guys were like, no, you come down here. So between those two schools,
got you.
I was there. So I was getting the calls. It was like, boom. Then with Overton, I said, okay, all right. So then with the really three schools I was like, TJ, what? Armstrong, what? And my phone, man, look, I can go, y'all, show you what I was getting. I was like, and I'm trying to, I think it was Thanksgiving or something around that time, I think, right? So I'm still trying to eat, and I'm sitting up here like, well, there goes my weekend. I'm, okay, call who? I would call, man, it was some everybody I was talking to. So the fact that I'm glad that y'all came on and addressed it, I'm glad that y'all kind of deaded the situation, but again, bad publicity is kind of good publicity, because again, both schools did well.
Yeah.
Now we got a rival that's back, and again, y'all will have to play each other to get to the States.
Yes.
Now, unlike in basketball, the loser get to go to another bracket. This time, the loser get to go home. It ain't no day, something in basketball. So it's going to make the rival that much better to have you guys again and bringing the city out to whether that game is. Whether at Armstrong or it's probably not going to be at Armstrong, it'll probably be a Union, like you said, because to be able to hold the people.
I'm hoping for 1 and 2 seeds. I'm hoping we both get 1 and 2 seed, and we end up having the regional championship right here in the city on that Saturday.
Yeah, and this time I will be there.
Let's make it
time
hot.
I'll be there.
Let's make it hot.
Because we really do feel like, honestly, within the region, and I can kind of speak, on behalf of Armstrong when I say this as well. We don't get respected within that region like we should in terms of just our reputation. For one, we just knew, we're not really new, but we knew back into that region, that's before Region B. For two, we only got 3 programs that's in this area that's associated with that region, and that's us, Armstrong, and Goochland.
Right.
Even we built a connection, and we got a solid foundation of rapport with the Goochland coach.
Right.
Because they know when it's time to go up there for regional voting, it's really just us 3 against them in terms of how it is.
They're gonna stick together.
They all see each other programs and kids, and they coach against each other. So we understand how pivotal it is to get that number 1 seed, and that's why we're trying to retain that, because we don't want to have to take our guys to go on the road to go up there. So we know, hands down, without a shadow of a doubt, we got to grind. We got to get it where we need to, and make sure we taking care of stuff and standing on business throughout the season, week by week, as we prepare and winning. So it's a must.
Because that's the key.
It's a must.
That was the most disappointing thing about last year.
Yes.
We had, they would have had to come through the city.
And that's the thing. Because financially, it would have been great.
Through the city.
And I told y'all, concessions, all of that stuff, man, it matters.
Yeah.
Because that way it can help y'all with the uniforms and things like
everything.
that. That's the reason why we have to come to these games. And even as a media person, we can't be so regional, whatever. But this was like my first full year. So again, now with knowing you guys, I'm like, no, because I already said it. That Norcom game, which is y'all 4th game?
4th game.
I'll be there.
Norcom.
I'll be there. I got some people I know down there in Norcom.
We've been talking about it as a staff, especially most recent. We looking forward to that game.
Hey, Mo Holloman, I'm coming down there, so make sure you hook me up with that fish at that Norcom game. I'm hollering.
Hey, look.
They do it real big out there in Norcom, I heard.
Hey, look, yes, sir. That's what I love about going to Highland Springs when I ain't got a game, bro. Listen, save some of that fish after the game.
You know what I'm saying? Exactly.
Hit that up, too.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, like I said, but no, man, we got to, and I'm glad that y'all helping me understand, because, again, it's a big thing. So, like you said, you got to grind, so you can keep those games here, so we can get those ticket sales. They're coming to TJ
for sure,
and not going to Brentsville or some other school that's up there, because again, they're like looking down at that. I heard the game was pretty packed up there, I guess, when Armstrong played them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But again, you don't want to be traveling up there because first of all, you got to get through that damn traffic to get to North Virginia, and then you got to go about 45 minutes off the highway to go get to where they got to get to. I'm like, do I really want to be doing
And then on top of that, we know that honestly, for the most part though, since I've been down here in Richmond for the past 11 years, man, people don't want to leave outside of 804.
They don't.
This is home, man. Don't get it twisted. They'll travel anywhere from Ashland and Hanover to Chesterfield.
But they ain't going up there because
Exactly.
they not doing that. Now that's why I say I commend people like the Springs and Verona and stuff like that, because they've been traveling. When they went to Florida, I was surprised to see how many people from Highland Springs was down there. You know what I'm saying? So I was like,
it's crazy, man.
It's crazy. So that's what you're saying. They're not going up to even though it's in Virginia, you would think, man, let's go up there. Now, I don't know how many people came for y'all in 2019. I don't know that.
It was a nice crowd.
It was a good crowd. I was in the
Now,
stand.
just looking at the pictures, it seemed like it was a lot.
Yeah, up there and standing.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But again, we got to do that, man. So again, no, like I said, when y'all, that Norcom game specifically, I'm picking that one just because I have a personal relationship with the people down there in Norcom. Hey, no, and hey, man, because I think Big Hawk's the coach down there.
Yeah.
So shout out to Coach Hawk and everything. No,
the beautiful thing is I want to touch on this. I got to touch on this. Is that like how we lose kids to the county and different things, like you said earlier about people moving and stuff like that. Like, we're going for the first time in years, our JV we're going to fulfill the full JV. They're going to have a full schedule next year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, like we're literally, our kids are coming. Like we're in these middle school. Look, man, we're in the middle schools. And like I said,
you gotta do that.
We got like I said, we got open enrollment, right? So you got Pruitt in the middle schools, you got Scott in the middle school. Because listen, man, that kid could in the 8th grade could apply. And say, listen, I want to go to Huguenot. So the biggest thing is, like I told my guys, is we got to start with home. Like, we got to make sure, like, for instance, Albert Hill is our school. We can't lose one kid out of Albert Hill.
Right.
That kid
To
is
go to
our
Hugh
school.
and that, right.
You know what I'm saying? So we got to put a fence around this bad boy in front and be with these men.
And John Marshall got a new coach.
Yeah, John Marshall. Yeah, Skip over there. Good guy. That's my man. So you're talking about all of us trying to make sure that we hone and keep our kids at home. And when you're winning and you have a program like that, and like you said, kids say, man, TJ is sending kids to school.
Right. I'm going over here.
You mean to tell me I ain't got to leave my crib? I ain't got to have my mom,
I go right here.
Get an apartment all the way out here.
I ain't got to try to go to Airport Drive. I ain't got to go over there Williamsburg Road. I ain't got to go to Southside. I ain't got to go to Bird.
Yeah, and you playing for it, like, legitimately, I believe, like, at this point right now in our program, we're playing to, you know what I'm saying, play for a state championship. Like, I talked to Marcus at a coach's clinic up at Union, and I was just talking to him about, like, hey, man, we trying to really get our, get some tougher people, whatever. And then he hit back like a week later about, did we want a scrimmage? And unfortunately, we already got scrimmages this year, so I can't
Marcus,
do it. Over at Veronica.
Marcus Lewis. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, so so we couldn't do it, but, like, definitely, like, next year I want that smoke. I want us to come
And
out
he's
there
another
and
one. He don't mind.
Like, I want him to come in, but I love the fact that remembering that conversation, reached out and was like, yo, hit TJ up and see if they want to come. But we already had our 2 scrimmages, so that's so our kids are gonna get that opportunity to play against these type teams. You know,
Right,
what I
you
mean?
need
Like,
that, right.
You gotta have it. It's gonna build calluses. It's gonna be a situation where our guys can get some more pub, and that's the thing that I'm really excited about right now, is that these young men are staying at home.
And the scrimmage is going to be crazy. Did you see that Verona and Hugh in that game, played the playoff last year? That game was crazy. So there's the scrimmages, and that's what we need, man. We got these young coaches. You guys, man, are out there doing your thing. And I fell in love with the football thing, man. I need y'all on my Tuesday night lives now, okay? Because I've been doing my Tuesday night lives, and I don't know if y'all been following that.
Yeah,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, y'all got to be on there because it be lit, man. And we need that because I have my coaches on there and stuff like that. We just talking. But a couple of things I want to get to before that. We got about like 14 minutes. Y'all talked about the rankings. Tell us how y'all feel about these biased Time Dispatch rankings. Come on, we got to. We gonna talk. Let's talk
real
about
quick. We got 14. I'm gonna let you chop in on it, but I'm gonna just tell you like this. Here is the oxymoron, right? We finished 12th in this year's CBS fan poll. 12th, right? Armstrong was 8th, I think, and Hugo and I was ranked. We finished at 10-1. Don't get me wrong. Armstrong did beat us.
Right.
He had more losses than us, bro. We took one loss. We were ranked 12th. We were behind the Glen Allen team that had, like, I think 3 or 4 losses. Like, we were 12th. But then I win Coach of the Year for Division III.
Congratulations.
I win Coach of the Year. So I'm like, okay, I appreciate it. I do. I appreciate all my fellow coaches who voted for me, the media. I really do. There's no, what the young people say, no cap. I appreciate that. But also a part of me, y'all got to understand, feels bad for my kids. Because our coach has been seen as being successful, but our season, and we had a tremendous season. So, yeah, like that's what we were talking about earlier as far as like the competition. Why is it, when was the last time you saw a 10-1 team in this area not be in the top 10? I'll wait. Go ahead, Coach.
And you know, and listen, like I told you earlier, man, you know what I mean? I'm an emotional guy, but I'm a numbers guy. And so I deal with numbers. I deal with metrics, because that's how you counter a debate or argument such as this right here, right? When we finish the regular season, this is a fact, and you can research it. We finish number 1 in VHSL points ratings in the VHSL 3A division. We had 34 points. We had more points than some 5A and 6A schools who when you win a 6A game, you get 26 points.
Right.
That's the max.
Right.
We had 34 points. We had more points in the regular season than Liberty Christian Academy, who ended up winning the 3A state championship.
Which is a private school.
As some would say. But we had more points than them guys, and they swept down. They finished in the top 5 in max preps for the state of Virginia in terms of that. So my point is, how can we finish? It was number 6.
Number 6 ranked defense in the state.
Number 6 ranked defense in the state.
Not 3A.
Not 3A.
We were behind Phoebus.
RS
Or-
Phoebus, Moy.
Yeah, we were number 6 in the state.
Facts.
Wow.
Once again, we talking about statistical data and metrics, right? So I don't understand, how can we finish with 34 points in the VHSL points rating, but finish into top 12 outside of the fans poll? It don't make sense to me, and it's not even saying, we're not even saying that for this to be a pity party or feel like, you know what I mean, somebody
tell it
owes
like it
something.
is.
But we just telling it like it is. We don't understand, is there some personal biasness, or what else do we have to do or show or prove consistently within our program that we are solidified and we have established ourselves to be consistent, a winning culture, and we have ballers over in our program, not only from a coaching staff, but also as our talent within our program, with the numbers that we have. Make it make sense to me, you know what I mean? And like Coach said, top 6 defense in the state based upon points allowed, you know what I mean? Scoring points in our defense, you know what I mean? So it's just little things like that we try to make sure that when we come on here, or when we talk about these type of stuff like that, or quote unquote barbershop conversations, you want to have the numbers to back it up. And we got it at the end of the day.
Shout out to Danny Lewis, though, at Virginia Prep.
Yes,
Danny
sir.
always ranks us.
That is my guy.
Yes, sir.
Danny always gives us our props, man.
Yep.
I think, like, at one point, Danny had us in the top 5 last year.
Yep.
in his rankings. He always gives us respect. He looks at it from a different point. Shout out to Danny.
That's my guy, Danny Lewis. I tell you, man, he always, every time I see him on the sideline, he always show me love. Always, with that, Y'all want to talk about some of the camps y'all will be doing stuff like that to get that out there as well?
So
we can do that?
we'll be going to, we're going to do 2 camps this year, which is new. TJ hasn't done this in I don't.
Have we ever? Did we never?
Ever, no. So we're going to be going to 2. We're going to ECU on the 15th of June, 7-on-7 camp, and we're going to turn around and go to JMU on the 17th. We're going to be doing their 7-on-7 camp. We're also going to do a lock-in, sort of like what Maury did last year with our guys in the school. We're going to do that right before we start, 2-a-days the season kickoff. So it's going to be all football, do some team bonding stuff, get our guys, ready for the season and ready to go.
In terms of some things within the recruitment process and how that coincides with the camps.
Oh yeah, we got a lot of stuff, yeah.
We right now we've had several guys, rising seniors, attend a lot of different prospect camps right now. We had some guys that went to the UNC Pembroke camp. We had some guys that attend the Emory and Henry camp to kind of get, in terms of showcasing their talent and getting some prospecting information, and creating some more recognition for themselves. And then we had a guy that actually attended Virginia Union one. But with that being said, we got guys that's lined up right now that's already signed up that's going to be attending Virginia Tech camp. Coming up, prospect camp coming up on June the 9th. We got some guys that's going to be attending the UVA camp on June the 23rd. That's going to be going there. So we would love for the coaches to kind of go there and kind of see our guys to showcase their talents. I got some guys that signed up that's going to be going to the University of Richmond one prospect camp that they're going to be having. And then we still kind of working out the kinks in terms of July within our own schedule after the dead period of guys going into some other prospect camps, like maybe in Maryland, Delaware State University, Frostburg State University, and then some other ones that kind of maybe matriculate and kind of come in as we trying to work through things. The main thing is staying active, keeping our kids engaged, making sure that they're getting as much exposure as they possibly can to help be, right, as the recruiting coordinator, to help Coach Harris as the head coach, helping and benefiting yourself. We're encouraging the parents. We just had an amazing parents meeting where we went over the agenda for the summer. We probably talking about having maybe potentially another one to go over the fundraising, go over the agenda for the summer with the camps, go over eligibility criteria that the kids need,
Right.
mandating transcripts and stuff like that at the end of the year, talking about with the next steps as we transition and phase out of the summer, what the fall is going to be looking like during the regular season, what the coaches is doing. It was amazing. We was able to get everything to them in terms of the ones that showed up. We emailed them. Our kids got free physical schedule for tomorrow that we kind of arranging and getting that stuff squared away. So I say all that to say this is that there's a lot of different, as I said, a lot of different moving pieces that we're putting together, but it's about staying consistent and keeping the ball moving constantly with our program and making sure that as a staff, we're trying to tap in and do everything that we set for our agenda and our plans.
Hey man, we got some. Listen, I got to say this. Like we sent 10 kids to school last year. 10,
Thank you, Coach.
10 kids from our program are going on to play college football on the next level. So that was phenomenal. So we're building off of that, but don't think that 10 is hurt. We're I'm telling you right now, we're going to be better than we were last year.
I was going to say, man, y'all got to be on a mission after that, man.
Well, the funny thing is when we lost AZ, everybody was, y'all not, they're going to be down. They lost AZ. This is that the third. And like I said, I know a bunch of these guys. I mean, I go way back. And like I said, I started my stomping ground coaching Little League at the East End. So Puka, Rodney, all those guys.
Shout out to Leaper.
All those guys, man, they, you know what I'm saying? They know me, man. And one thing about I got a hell of a respect for those guys. Those guys are some phenomenal coaches. But more than that, I know what they mean to a lot of young men. But they know Eaton coach. And so
if you get stepped by them, you know you're good.
Listen, man. Listen.
I've learned that.
So when I heard that last year, like y'all lost AZ, I'm like, okay. And trust me, this is a big okay with what we coming out with this year. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying. So, and
think about it. Everybody we played last year. Their coaches would talk to me after the game about how physical we were and this, that, and the third. And I'm telling you, I wasn't the head coach at this time last year. So our preseason was nothing like this. When I tell you that I got guys that I've started a 300, 400, 500, 600-pound club. I got guys walking around at school right now with 300-pound squat club, 400-pound, 500. I mean, bench club. We've been getting, like, if you thought we were physical last year, this is like, I'm just saying. Like we're not resting. Like we're not resting on our.
That's what we talk about, and like we said, like we averaging 30, 35 kids showing up on a basis, on a daily basis.
And those are actual factual numbers.
Yeah,
right?
actual fact. And so that is just showing like the kids culturally are taking the weight room and the strength and conditioning serious.
Yes.
We got a day where we schedule out of our 4 because we going 4 days right now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a day where we allocate that to a former administrator who was a former track and field coach. She just focuses strictly on plyometrics. Agility.
That's the day they hate. Now that's the day when we got to chase jokers down.
Right.
So look,
they ain't trying to deal with that.
So I will switch the day on their hind parts. And they have to come in thinking it's a weight day, and they go Coach Jordan, and they like, yeah, they can't stand that day. But hey, man, you got to get this work.
You got to get this work, man. You know what I mean?
And that's good, man. And it's great because again, you keeping the kids in the city. You don't have to transfer anything, and most important too, man. Y'all building these relationships with the community. So that is just great. One more thing before I get y'all to get these shout outs in. Next year, let me ask y'all a question. What did y'all think about that showcase that they did at Highland Springs a couple of weeks ago? It was the showcase with all these coaches came in and everything like that.
I'm glad
I love
y'all
it.
would think that y'all get into something like that?
Well, I would hope that next year that, Huguenot wouldn't have to go over there, that we could do that in the city. I think like a city showcase would be wonderful. But I'm all for it. I think one thing I will tell you, like, man, about Coach Johnson, man, Coach Johnson has made sure that his young men get the eyes on them that they deserve. My godson, who started off at Tech, he's at Slippery Rock now, and who I helped raise, was there, and I trusted him wholeheartedly with him. So I know that what they do as a program, I also know them personally as, man, like I can, trust me, if I got a coaching conundrum, I could pick my phone up and call Coach Johnson, and he's gonna walk me through it. He's gonna help me out. So, but that right there is phenomenal for the area. I would like to, like I said, have a city one, have a county one, then, break it down like that, because like literally I could tell you for real, like flat out, I know for a fact I got like 5 kids on my team and that are underclassmen that could have went there and showed out.
Yeah.
That's just a fact.
Yeah.
That would have went there and showed out. So I think that's phenomenal. And I got to say this the last thing before I let him say it before you close out. One of the biggest things that we have to do, and that I am a stickler on, is our kids carry progress reports now. I'm up in that school making sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do. on some Mondays in our practice, some Mondays are, our mental health days, and we'll do, the guys will do study hall, guys will do weightlifting, ice bath, whatever they need. They'll get with their position coaches, they'll break that stuff down, and I'm a big advocate of men's mental health. So I make sure that our guys know that mental health isn't a bad word in our program. If a young man needs that, then he's gonna come talk to us about it. Because my biggest thing is this: we had 10 kids go to school this year. 7 win D2, 2 win D3, and the other one's going JUCO, when it should have been 3 D1s, but because of their grades.
Right.
That's going to stop. And I want the college coaches out there that are looking at this, trust and believe me, that's changing at TJ. That is changing. That is changing drastically. We're no longer going to be giving our kids away for free. We're getting, D2, where they have these guys have the talent to play on the Division I level. I have Division coaches calling me all the time about them. So,
right.
As we wrap up, the main thing I want to say is, first and foremost, our coaching staff, it goes to token to our appreciation, our coaching staff. We have a very close, strong bond and brotherhood in terms of the trust and the level of communication and how we gel together. I do a lot of studying outside of just my personal endeavors in terms of work, my wife, my son, my family, my responsibilities. And I look at programs like Maury. I look at programs like Freedom. I look at programs like Highland Springs. And the one thing I notice about them programs who win state championships and the culture, like I was telling Coach Harris and telling Coach Hagan, you don't have no life. Them guys, in order for us to achieve what we need to achieve at the next level, is that you cannot, and I say that in a sense where you don't have no life, meaning when outside of those responsibilities, that's all I devote myself to, because I'm just so infatuated with the success of our kids going to school, teaching life skills, but at the same time teaching X's and O's in football, and stressing the importance, because what it's going to take is a full-time plus overtime commitment to being able to get these kids and get these boys to where they need to be at in the program. And that's what my mindset is. That's what our mindset is. And that's the only way we're going to keep on growing as a program. So I just want to put that out there, man. You know what I mean? Like, that's where we at with it. And that's what we're trying to continue with it, man.
Well, guys, like I said, that was great, because y'all was right on cue. We got about 30 seconds. Give a quick shout out to who y'all want to give a shout out to, as far as coaches, players, wives, girlfriends, whoever, whatever, in the words of Highland Springs. Get that in real quick.
I got you.
Go ahead.
Well, first and foremost, I'm gonna give a shout out to my wife, man. The times that I spend around the clock, taking away from her and her holding down the fort, it's much appreciated. A lot of times, and we talk about it as well. It's trying to make sure that the people who really count, you know what I mean? And so I know that she's a special part of my life, as well as my son, him, being integrated into my personal coaching endeavors and personal life, making sure that I still take care of him. I love him. And the second shout out is I just want to give a shout out to God, man, for allowing me also as well, just to be where I'm at in my life right now, personally, and my growth as a coach and as a man, and trying to be a symbol to the culture and to the kids. So, that's the main thing I kind of want to put out there. So.
Yeah. Hey, y'all, on that note, we got to roll out, and we out. I appreciate y'all watching the episode again today, y'all. Go over, make sure that y'all check out my man, rickstockel.com, for any of your home buying needs. Appreciate it. Thanks again.